Welcome to the last lecture. In this last lecture, we'll go ahead and review what we have learned since the start of this. So if you go through the different pieces, so we learned about domain-driven design, how you can take advantage of domain-driven design and why you should. It's really, if you think about this, just if you don't remember anything else, just think about domain-driven design, that you're modeling the business. It's not about technology. It's all about the domain, that you're modeling the business, you're documenting it in some form. Like I said, you can do this in simple English sentences, you can do this in architectural diagrams, you can do this in different forms, different perspectives of the business. Next, we looked at architectures, event-based architectures to support domain events. And so if you dig deeper into event-based systems, it's a natural fit anytime you are coming close to the business. So when you are modeling the business, you're also modeling the events of what happens inside the business at one point, and who triggers or what triggers these business events, right? So event-based architectures are fantastic to model as close as possible to what the business is doing on a day-to-day basis. Next, we looked at cloud computing. AWS is your DevOps. Serverless to be much more agile, if you remember those 2 points. Cloud computing, with cloud computing, you want to take advantage of the cloud provider services. They already have staff on, at the cloud providers' locations all around the globe. Why would you not want to take advantage of this, right? There are some exceptions, like I said, about security maybe, and some other reasons, but generally your cloud provider's DevOps is your DevOps. Serverless gives you the capability to be much more agile. You can experiment a lot more, a lot quicker, and with a much lower cost of entry here. Next, we looked at microservices. Microservices and serverless technology, they fit perfectly together because like we learned from domain-driven design, when you concentrate on different contexts that make up the entire business, the microservices themselves enforce physical boundaries on these bounded contexts. So you're physically prevented to making direct calls, right? You would have to actually make service calls. And we learned that you should never ever make a direct call to a microservice, never ever. To me, there's no exceptions. Because if you model a business correctly, you should be able to listen and follow along on the interesting business domain events that will happen in the system. And so serverless technology fit perfectly together. And lastly, we looked at serverless computing, the business and technological evolution to create software. If you look at the history in the last 30, 40, 50 years, on how far we have come in computing power from making things smaller, faster, more cost effective. And please don't be distracted with the noise of containerizing and the virtualization noise that you hear in so many different places. That is already outdated because it makes a perfect business sense and also a technical sense to skip that noise. There are exceptions to this. It really depends on implementation. I've seen some exceptions where you still need the power of Dockers or containerizations in general, especially when you need to keep track of state or certain volumes. Not volumes, but in certain cases. But in general, I would say that most systems that you can develop nowadays can be done with serverless computing because there's so many services available now. Even let's take, for example, API Gateway. AWS just announced in December of 2018 that WebSockets is fully supported in API Gateway. What that means from a business perspective, I can have a permanent channel to my clients on the UI to communicate bidirectionally with a stateful TCP connection. This wasn't possible before until you come up with another solution, meaning that you have to have your own state and cluster to manage TCP connections. Now that's from a technical point of view. From a business point of view, these services get updated and improved upon every day. And so I highly recommend that you take a look at serverless computing. It may not fit in your case, but I would guess 95% it would. It really depends on the use cases, but please take a serious look at the business and the technological advantages you will gain when you do serverless computing.